Picture three people sitting at three different tables. The first person, Maria, earns $50,000 a year. She's a nurse. She lives in a small apartment with her daughter. Tonight, she's smiling at her phone. Her daughter just sent a photo from school. Maria is content. The second person, James, is a marketing director, making $200,000. He has a nice home, 2 cars, and a vacation booked for the summer. He looks comfortable, but there is a tightness in his jaw. He's checking his emails at dinner. Again. The third person is David. He has $5 million. He drives a $100,000 car. He lives behind a gate. And right now, sitting in this restaurant, he's doing the math in his head on whether he can afford a second property in Aspen without triggering a margin call on his portfolio. Now, who feels the richest? Most people's instinct is to say David. 20 times more money than James. 100 times more than Maria. But the answer is Maria. She's the only one at those 3 tables who is actually present. Morgan Housel spent years studying this exact paradox. He found that wealth is not a number, it's an equation. Wealth equals what you have minus what you want. If what you want grows faster than what you have, you feel poor. It does not matter how many zeros are in your account. David has $5 million, and his desire meter is running faster than his asset meter. That equation is the whole story. And to understand it properly, we need to go back to where David started and watch the exact moment his goalpost started running away from him. The moving goalpost, ages 22 to 30. David is 22. He earns $40,000 a year. He has a clear picture of what success looks like. His boss drives a nice car and owns a house in the suburbs. David tells himself, if I can just get to $80,000, I will be set. That is the number. He is hungry. He is disciplined. 4 years later, he hit it. But during those 4 years, something quietly shifted. David's peer group changed. He no longer measured himself against his old college friends. He measured himself against the senior managers at his new office. They made $150,000. They went to Hawaii. $80,000 suddenly felt ordinary. He set a new target, $150,000. Then he could relax. The psychology of the mirage. This is a hedonic adaptation, a big phrase for a simple human pattern. Your brain adjusts to new things incredibly fast. Think about the first time you had heated car seats. It felt almost luxurious. A month later, you forgot they existed. Now, a car without them feels like something is missing. David's expectations worked the same way. Every income increase got absorbed almost immediately. The comfort lasted about 3 months. Then it became the new baseline. Then he wanted more. The expectation treadmill. At 22, he made $40,000. He felt stressed. He thought $80,000 would fix everything. At 26, he hit $80,000. He felt average. Now he needs $150,000. At 30, he earned $150,000. He felt behind. The new number was $300,000. His income kept climbing. The fixed number kept doubling. His feelings went from stressed to average to behind. The goalpost always moved. By 30, David is in the top 10% of earners in the country, and he feels behind. The finish line is not getting closer. It's getting further away every time he runs toward it. Naval Ravikant, one of the most successful investors and thinkers in Silicon Valley, described this trap plainly. Desire, he said, is a contract you make with yourself to be unhappy until you get what you want. David had been signing that contract on repeat since he was 22. And now, in his mid-30s, he stops just running faster. He starts spending to look like he has already won. The status trap and social debt, ages 31 to 37. David crosses $1 million in net worth at 35. He feels a brief, genuine flash of pride. He worked hard for it. Then he decides he needs to look like a millionaire. He moves into a neighborhood where the houses start at $1.5 million. He buys a German sports car. He joins the country club so he can network with the right people. This is social debt, not bank debt. The hidden emotional and financial cost of maintaining an image. When you buy an expensive home in a wealthy neighborhood, you don't just pay a mortgage. You buy a ticket into a competitive social environment. Your neighbors renovate their kitchens. They send their children to private school. They take 2 international trips a year. The pressure to match that pace is constant, quiet, and expensive. David used to be the most financially successful person in his old friend group. At the country club, he is the least successful person in the room. The men around him own software companies. They have private planes. His $1 million feels like pocket change at that table. Behavioral economic researchers, building on Daniel Kahneman's foundational work, have documented this consistently. Human beings do not measure satisfaction by their absolute financial position. They measure it relative to the people immediately around them. David's $5 million target was born at that country club lunch table. Not because he needed $5 million to live, because he needed it to stop feeling small. But when he finally gets there, that is where the story turns dark. And this is the moment most financial content never shows you. The peak paradox, $5 million and broke. David did it. A decade of 80-hour weeks, missed weekends, canceled vacations, $5 million. He wakes up at 3 in the morning anyway, heart pounding. His fixed monthly expenses are $40,000. The mortgage on his estate, the insurance on 3 vehicles, property taxes that cost more than a teacher's annual salary, a small staff of people, a cleaner, a gardener, a pool technician, whose rent depends on David staying solvent. He built a machine that requires constant, massive fuel just to stay running. When the stock market drops by 10%, David loses $500,000 on paper in a single week. To someone watching this video, that might sound like a wealthy person's complaint. But to David's nervous system, it feels identical to the fear he had at 22 when he couldn't cover his rent. Income satisfaction studies back this up. Research consistently shows that the relationship between money and emotional well-being is not a straight line. Beyond a certain threshold of comfort and security, additional wealth produces dramatically smaller increases in daily happiness, and in some cases produces more anxiety, not less. David has $5 million. His desire meter is set at $6 million because the Aspen vacation property he wants costs exactly that. His brain registers a shortage. His body responds with stress hormones. He feels poor. Sarah has $250,000. Her desires fit inside that number comfortably. Her brain registers safety. She feels rich. Same planet, completely different internal experience. David spent 20 years trying to solve a psychological problem with a financial tool. He kept adding to the what you have column and completely ignored the what you want column. Which brings us to the part of the story that David will carry with him for the rest of his life, the memory paradox. While David was working his way to $5 million, he was also making a second trade he didn't fully recognize. His daughter's school play. He sent flowers. He missed the show. His best friend's wedding weekend. He flew on Saturday, left Sunday morning, and skipped brunch. His family's summer trip at 38. He joined for 4 days, spent 2 of them on calls in the hotel hallway. He told himself he would make it up later, when things calmed down, when the number was big enough. The Harvard study of adult development, the longest-running study of human happiness in history, spanning over 80 years, found something that money research rarely captures. The single greatest predictor of long-term happiness and health was not income, assets, or status. It was the quality of close relationships. David's relationships had been running on fumes for a decade. His wife felt more like a business partner than a companion. His daughter called less than she used to. Morgan Housel wrote about this in The Art of Spending Money. The idea that experiences are one of the few things people consistently undervalue relative to what they actually need. We overestimate how much a new car will improve our daily life. We underestimate how much a family trip creates something that keeps paying back emotionally for decades. Bill Perkins calls this the memory dividend. A trip you take with your children at age 38 gets talked about at every Thanksgiving for the next 30 years. That single experience pays emotional returns annually. The older you get, the more it appreciates. David delayed every experience until the money was big enough. But the window for those specific experiences, with his young daughter, his body healthy, his parents still alive, closed while he was in meetings. Sarah's memory bank is full. Her relationships are deep. The Harvard study would have predicted her contentment from a mile away. Reducing the denominator. Most people spend their entire lives focused on one side of the equation. They optimize their income, they chase promotions, they build portfolios, they stack assets, they work on the numerator constantly. Very few people spend any serious time working on the denominator. But the denominator is where freedom actually lives. When you deliberately cap your desires, when you decide your current apartment is fine, your current car does its job, your current circle is enough, you create a surplus. Not by making more, by needing less. That surplus is where independence lives. It's where purpose lives. When your bills don't require 80 hours of weekly output to sustain, you can start doing work you actually care about. You can spend your afternoons on things that will not exist if you keep waiting. Naval Ravikant describes the goal of money simply. Retire as early as possible, but not to do nothing, to do whatever you want. The person with $100 million who has lost their freedom is not wealthy. The person with $200,000 who wakes up every morning and chooses their own day is. David is starting to understand this at 45. He's preparing to sell the estate. He's downsizing the vehicles. He's not doing it because he failed. He's doing it because he finally realized that the goal was never the number. The goal was the feeling he thought the number would bring. He's now trying to find that feeling by a completely different route. Own your timeline. Understanding the wealth equation changes how you build your financial life from the ground up. But if you want to see how these psychological traps play out in real parallel timelines between two people, same salary, completely different outcomes by 40, the next video maps it out year by year. To see the exact moments where two identical starting points diverge into million-dollar gaps based purely on early habits and systems, watch Your Life If You Spend Your 20s Building Wealth versus Spending It. Or if you want to see the specific cash threshold where your savings balance starts giving you real negotiating leverage over banks, bosses, and landlords, watch Why Banks Fear People with $25,000 Saved. Manage your balance, protect your timeline, reduce what you need. See you in the next one.